conference concludes, if all of the chapter presidents and the board members could please convene either over in this corner or right out in the lobby so that we can get a picture of everybody. I wanted to introduce to you Dr.Kristie Holmes, who also serves on the board of the National Committee of UN Women, in addition to the Congressional Research Institute. She has devoted considerable time and expertise to projects relating to human rights and the United Nations Millennium Development Goals. Having been published in several peer-reviewed journals, Dr. Holmes teaches global development, violence against women, human behavior, and grant writing at USC. Go Trojans. She's also an expert panelist and moderator on the status of women. And right next to me is Rowan Blanchard, who is the star of the TV show Girl Meets World. She's also a student and activist who hopes to attend Columbia and Oxford University, although my vote is USC. This young powerhouse is already helping to pave the way by inspiring other teens to use their voice and be heard.
Before I get going, I was asked to make an announcement to the board members in the morning. We're going to meet at 8:30 instead of 9. Sorry. Messenger. Now I'll switch gears. Hello,
Use the
everybody.
microphone, please. Can you use the microphone, please?
Better? Closer? Is that better? Yes. Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Kristie Holmes, and I'm a board member for the U.S. National Committee for the United Nations Women. I'm excited that I get to focus on something that I really care about today, helping other women find their voice, especially younger women. Today, I'll be introducing Rowan. We created Team He for She by chance, or by an avalanche of great introductions. I didn't meet Rowan until another Team He for She member, Barbie Applefuss right here, introduced us by way of another team member, Max. He's back at the back. But the first thing I read about her impressed me immediately. It was before I met her. A magazine had photoshopped her teeth, and she called them out on it publicly. I knew then this was a young woman I wanted to work with. I know so few people who have that kind of courage. It may seem like a small thing, but to call attention to a so-called flaw in yourself publicly sends an impactful message out to millions of girls that worry about what they look like. What was seen as an unlikely partnership of people who all have influence in different areas, we all decided we just want to do something meaningful together. We didn't have a lot of rules. We just wanted to reach out with amazing young woman, Rowan. And instantly, we were met with reaching more than 8 million people in just 4 days. Whoa. We also had great support from Facebook, Instagram, and Talkwalker. The 78-cent equal pay campaign with Global He for She and Clinton's No Ceilings had the hashtag Team He for She trending on Twitter. Up here, there's a couple of scrolling ones that were some of our more impactful ones. Now that was inspiring. It had all ages and both genders participating, another key to change. What I've noticed too is on a lot of the conversations on gender equality, it's usually about 75% girls and 25% boys, but that was a different day. The day we were trending, there were a lot more males participating. So here are a few of our most impactful tweets. As you scroll through, you'll see, but we also need to be where young people are, and most are on Instagram. Twitter's easier for conversation and chats. Snapchat as well. See how there's just as many using, this is from 12 to 24 age group. So there's 13% on Snapchat and about 14% using Facebook. And I know most of you don't even know what Snapchat is. So that's, we're gonna have to get on board with how everyone's communicating. Speaking of in areas that you have influence and partnering with others and not staying silent when you know something is wrong is key to helping change conversations on what seem to be unmovable topics. Universities, you don't want to be the last one who truly looks at your sexual assault problem on campus or adds more useless programming with little deterrent for those who do the assaulting. They know the rules they're dealing with, and more importantly, the lack of enforcement that follows these incidents. I don't want Rowan to show up to college in a few years to her dream school and find out that young women are still dragging around campuses. We need to talk about difficult issues as a preventative measure, not just in reaction to terrible things that happen. We know that we have a problem with gun violence and that women are rarely the ones pulling the trigger. but we really don't want to talk about that part either, or why the frequency is increasing with no end in sight. One of the most sobering moments I had as a parent was 2 years ago when my 6-year-old son came home from school. I asked him about what he did that day, and he replied in a completely normal tone, "Oh, we had active shooter drills today."
Oh my God.
I know. Look, the truth is today is an exciting day, but most days when you're trying to make a difference, it's not all that exciting. Sometimes it's just writing letters, maybe working on a school bullying policy to present to your principal, or even writing a grant so that you can create programs that will change people's lives. What most of us would consider boring work, but that's how it gets done. The other thing that most of us adults aren't even doing anymore is voting. You may not be old enough to vote, but you're certainly old enough to get involved in the issues. You can talk to your parents about who they're voting for and why. You can read about the issues, just don't get all of your information from one source. Consider the other side.
Yes.
There are so many things, too many things, to get worried about, sad about, so pick those things that resonate the most with you. You want to change gun violence, child marriage, you want to feel safe on your school campus. How do you think it's going to happen? Well, we can all take personal responsibility for what happens next. Without further ado, I'm honored to introduce Rowan Blanchard, who has been behind the success of Team He for She. Rowan.
That was wonderful. Hello, I'm Rowan Blanchard, and today I will be speaking about gender inequality in youth. When I was in preschool, I played catch with the other kids, and I was told I threw like a girl. I have been a feminist ever since. I am 13 now and balancing my education with a full-time acting career. On our show, I play an 8th grader who is coming of age. My character deals with many life lessons and challenging subjects, and it happens that this week's topic is gender inequality. Around this age, studies show that girls lose interest in STEM subjects, science, technology, engineering, and math. Unfortunately, those studies show that one of the reasons we back away is that girls in my age group would rather be liked than be leaders. I am extremely hopeful that by communicating how wrong this idea is, our audience will realize that taking advantage of a complete education is the obvious thing to do in order to reach their full potential. As the oldest of 3 children, I have seen sexism be expressed at all ages. My 9-year-old brother has been called a girl for being in touch with his emotions, and my 11-year-old sister has been taught by the media that her body is an object, will be compared to other bodies, and that it holds more significance than her mind or talent. This should not be the first thing she learns. This should not be her first social experience. Everyone here either has a child or knows one, and because you are present here today, I am certain that none of you want any child to grow up in a world where there are limitations solely based on one's gender. Earlier this year, I worked with Team He for She through social media, and it will please you to know that there has been an overwhelming positive response from children and adults. My favorite response thus far has been from a 12-year-old Pakistani girl who said she became interested in women's issues because her mother followed her dream of becoming an engineer, even though it was considered a male occupation. Her mother, a woman in a restricted society who stood tall in the face of limiting odds to achieve a difficult goal, is a role model for me. We are privileged to live in a country that does not place these restrictions upon us. We must not drift away from taking advantage of achieving whatever goal we set our hearts on. Unfortunately, I have also received other comments which were less inspiring. Young women were told by teachers of both sexes that they should not pursue a career in science or technology because they are male-oriented careers. This should not be the education offered in our country, which has always benefited from the best minds and the best positions. But the most disheartening comments came from girls who do not feel safe in their own school because of unwanted touching or inappropriate attention. How can you expect girls to aspire to anything when 75% of us from the ages of 11 to 21 years old say daily sexism impacts our future goals and self-confidence? That's 3 out of 4 on a daily basis. This is unacceptable and should be unacceptable to both genders. One of my biggest dreams is to attend the Columbia School of Journalism. I read all I can about Columbia, and I came across an issue that made me realize what is inappropriate in childhood can become far worse in adulthood on a college campus. I saw many articles about a victim of campus rape who dragged a mattress across the stage with her when she received her diploma to illustrate the weight she carried throughout those college years. It is important for children who are forced to carry the weight of gender inequality at such a young age to not fear for their safety or education. Every society, including ours, must examine these issues, improve these numbers, and allow all individuals to aspire to be anything they want. Let us no longer be imprisoned or defined by gender stereotypes or any stereotypes. Let us be defined by our individual actions, kindness, and decency to others. At the end of the day, regardless of who you are, each and every individual deserves the opportunity to reach his or her full potential. Equality of the sexes is not merely an idea, but a birth-given right. In a country that has achieved marriage equality, shouldn't gender equality be next?
She even has me on Twitter, Kaden. I'm used to her. Well, I pulled a couple of questions. I wanted to make this part a little more casual so we can just talk. It's a little more nerve-wracking standing up there, right? Yeah. The speech part. So let's talk a little bit. You guys are so attentive. It's amazing. Thank you. First of all, media messages. We were talking about that, and she probably didn't know the part about why I got so excited about her later. I love that she called the media out. But what media messages have been most helpful or unhelpful to women in your experience?
I see a lot of media messages, and first I just want to say that girls my age are so impressionable. So anything they see, they're very quick to believe, or they're easy to take from. So when they see magazine covers with the latest feuds between girls, I just think it definitely impacts how they feel about themselves, because I think we live in a society that really feeds off of girls beating each other down. And I think we need to make it the more popular thing for women to cheer each other on rather than tear each other apart. Like, there's things going on in the world, but the headline is, the feud between Katy Perry and Taylor Swift, not what Malala's doing. And so it's something where I think that young girls see that and they think, oh, okay, so when I grow up, I can either be Malala or I can have a magazine cover tearing somebody apart. Yeah. So I think we need to up the level of the media, how that portrays women. Yeah.
I agree, and I love that. The thing I found most inspiring and encouraging, because a lot of these subjects we talk about are so depressing, was you validated the feelings of so many young girls. Mm-hmm. And it's not my usual Twitter or social media group that I'm talking with, but it was really great to see when I tweeted out the one I did that's been going up there, how many comments were like, thank you for doing that, because we look at you and everything, really good cheese looks like chiclets. It was really awful. I mean, they were like, it was really, really tacky. But girls are looking at that and thinking, that's what I'm supposed to look like. Right. And so that pressure starts really early on. And it doesn't stop, right? Women, it does not stop.
No.
So, and then it's about 18.
It's so sad because, I know a lot of girls and I'm in the business, so girls just are so mean to themselves. And you see all these girls with eating disorders because the cover of the magazine is so photoshopped and these girls have perfect bodies, and so they think that the only thing that they can aspire to be is this old stick figure who's perfect. When that happened on Twitter, I just thought, why not take advantage of the fact that these people photoshopped me and use it for good? Because unfortunately, so many girls see that, and I just wanted them to know that I have flaws, you have flaws, and that's okay. I'm
only going to ask her one more on my own, but I think we can open it up for a question or two from you guys if you want to. Lucy, if we're okay on time.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So Rowan, what inspires you to act in ways that those older than you, most of us here in the room, we haven't been able to do? What inspires you to do things we can't do?
I think social media is such a tool. I mean, it can be something where you can use it to, tear people down, or you can use it for good. And I think young girls need to realize that they have, and all children, but they need to realize that they have so much power in a post. When I post something, I wanted to send out a message out there that, I want the little girls who are following me to be able to take from. So I think, some of them are watching right now, but I encourage, those girls to be able to take advantage of the fact that they can influence other people. Just because you're a kid doesn't mean you can't influence other people.
And let's give the audience an idea of when you post something on Instagram or Twitter, how many people see it?
2 million people see it.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's crazy. But no, and I think that's why it's so important for me personally, to be able to use my power for good. Because I think, it's very important for girls to have important female role models who have a positive outlook and, take issues seriously. And I think that's something that, I'm very proud that I take things very seriously, and I like to share that on Twitter or Instagram. And I think, kids are always told that their opinions don't really matter. And so I think if we can encourage kids to know that they have opinions, their opinions are very good, very much valid, and they should know about the world around them. Yeah.
Amen. Okay, who has a question?
Hi.
It's actually not a question. It's something that fits right into what you said. Last week I was at a Sarah film showing, and Sarah is Spiritual and Religious Alliance of Hope. And this was started by Sandy Hart. And there we saw a movie called Miss Representation, and it is one of the best movies I have ever watched. It was very intense, the beginning especially, and it fits exactly into what you said, where, they have, people just imagine and think that the bodies of women are objects, and two, that it is whatever you see photoshopped is actually for real. The truth is, none of that is real. It's totally a world of make-believe, and we need to put an end to this.
I agree.
So I appreciate what you said today, because it's just fantastic. Thank you.
No, but you're 100% right, and I think that's another thing the young girls see is that, they see all these billboards where the girls, it seems as if you can only be famous if your body is flaunted everywhere. And I think that's not a positive message to be putting out to these young girls that think, they're only worth their bodies. Which is why I've been very protective of my sister and all of her friends, because they think that their worth is their bodies, and that's where it ends. And that's where they lose interest in STEM subjects, because they think, it's all about what you wear to school and not what you do in school. So, yeah. Hi.
As a parent and tutor, I'd like to ask one question. What would be the best way for us as mothers or grandmothers or, for any young girl in our life, what's the best simple advice that we could give those young girls? If we have like a standard for them to make wise choices, what's the best advice we could give them to choose the better choice of the two? Like in one of your comments, you said about the majority of them, whether you liked than a leader. What words could we say to young girls so that they make the better choice of the two choices?
I think that, you can say something like, we do live in a society, I mean, we do, where women are objectified and their bodies are the most important thing in all of this. And I think you constantly have to reinstate this. And I find myself having to tell myself this, that I am so much more than my looks. And I think at the end of the day, somebody's not going to just love you for the way you look or the clothes you wear. It's more about, what's in your brain and how you use it. So, yeah.
I was wondering how the producers treat you, because you have such an independent mind.
Thank you.
You hear those kinds of little negatives coming from that way?
Coming from the producers or just?
Yeah, producers.
No, we work on a set that's all of our writers, we have some female writers, half of our crew is female. It's a good balance. It's a good balance of the genders, which I think a lot of people misinterpret the word feminism and think that it means, you know, hate on men, which is the opposite of what it meant, of what it means. So I think, thank you. But our producers and our writers are very encouraging, and we write girls as very strong individuals, because that's who they are. Girls aren't, you know, it's hard to find good roles in Hollywood, where women aren't either, you know, the blonde, blue-eyed girl that has to, you know, wear a tight top. And so I think on our show, we've done a really, really good job of making sure that the message we put out is, you know, a good one.
Yeah. I have a grandniece who was in both of those Diary of a Wimpy Kid. She's now a drug counselor in Canada.
Wow.
She just gave up the film business because she just couldn't handle it. Because it was depressing in a way. So thank you.
Thank you.
As a young girl and with your sensitivity towards your sisters and being protective of them, have you considered, or what are your personal thoughts or considered encouraging having uniforms back in schools? Like kids would not be so concerned about the type of clothes they have to wear, and if they're going to, you know, just building relationships in schools, not based on your attire, but more of the person inside.
Yeah, I think there's an upside and a downside to uniforms, because I think, you know, I think it does do that. It does make sure that, you know, all the girls look equal, and so it isn't about like who's wearing the nicest dress or all of this. But at the same time, like, I know a lot of girls who like want to wear. There's also the dress code argument, where it's like these girls are told by their teachers that, oh, their shoulders showing is just something that's so scandalous in schools, which that sends out the wrong message too, because, you know, then you have these girls focusing more on whether their top is, you know, correct, or rather than what they're going to do on their science test, you know? So I think it's kind of the catch-22. Like, uniforms would work, but at the same time, it shouldn't be about what you wear. So I think we have to change the society as a whole rather than just go to uniforms.
Just to confirm what you said beautifully, based on the research, uniform has nothing to do with how you perceive yourself and your body. It is definitely an ideology that gets embedded in your mind and your perception of yourself. So studies shown that schools with uniforms have the exact same psychological and behavioral issues for girls compared to schools without uniforms.
Right.
Because it's what media and society injects to your brain, and it's how you start perceiving yourself. My daughter went to a uniform school, and she can testify to that it was still existing in that school.
Yeah. I think I'm just going to reinstate what I said earlier, is that, like, you have to change the way people think, not what you wear, because you should be able to wear whatever you want, but everybody's going to think something negatively about that.
Well, back in high school, when we were told about what to wear and why, the explanation was, we want you to dress in high school how you would when you got to work. Well, that would be incredible now.
I think, it's so hard, because you don't want the message to be to girls like, oh, cover up because your bodies are, you know, it's a hard message to communicate. So all right, in the back. Oh, got stand up. I'll try to read out your questions here so they can hear you.
Really wonderful.
Thank you.
I was no way like that at 13. In the future
I'll come back to you if you remember.
Like when you walk into another room and, you know, I think it's young enough to.
Okay, we had here, and then Lolita and Kay. I know some names. Stand up, go up.
I just wanted to, I understand your parents are here.
Yeah.
And I think that we should acknowledge them for raising such a mature. I think that the reason you are so mature and that you are so confident, and might I say, very well spoken.
Thank you.
Very
We all owe a lot to your parents.
Yeah.
Raising you.
Absolutely. Yeah. Good job.
Actually on board with her. Because when it comes to her professional world, that would be more me. When it comes to her personal world, that would be more my wife. So
I wear the pants.
not that I don't. This is the strongest woman you're gonna meet. So hopefully.
awesome.
Okay, I know we're running short on time. Lolita?
How do you manage to balance your play world, because you're still 13 years old?
Yeah.
You still need friendships, you still need, and not many 13-year girls or boys
Right.
are on parity with you. So who do you look for in support other than your family?
I think one thing my parents have done that, unfortunately many parents of children in the business don't do is that they've made sure that, when I go to set and when I go film the show, it's just those hours that I'm working. So as soon as I go home, I go out with my friends, or I go home and I watch Netflix. Like aside from the show, they've made sure, that it's a very normal life. Because you don't want to, you see all these stories about, child actors going off the rails, and I have to say it kind of comes down to the parents not protecting them and not making sure that they don't have, that they're stripped away of their normal life too. Yeah. My parents have done a good job of that.
You hear that as a teenager calling for boundaries? That's wonderful. Okay, I know it's Kay, and then who forgot her question? And our last one will be here, but let's go as quickly as we can.
Acknowledging your parents, what values would you say that they instilled in you that have allowed you to be where you are today?
I think they've definitely, but I have very intelligent parents, and they very much stressed, education first. And so a lot of people, I'll get a question in interviews a lot, like, how do you go to school and you're on a show? How do you do that? And I think it just comes down to my parents have always, like, some kids play soccer, some kids play football, I act. So I think that's kind of what it comes down to, is making sure that my parents have always, taught me loyalty and all of this. And they've also taught me loyalty to myself, and making sure I'm devoted to myself first. Yes.
Yeah.
You remembered your question.
Are there other kids, maybe your age, in Hollywood, in the film world, that are involved with similar issues? Like involved and activated and activists and doing what you're doing?
Not as many as I'd like there to be. I think, a lot of kids, like I said, their parents they just tell them that their opinions don't matter. My parents have always let me, vocalize, whether it's just at the dinner table, I'll vocalize my opinion on, the latest news and everything. So I think, a lot of kids, my age who are in the business, I see that they're very concerned about it, but they're too scared to, tweet something or Instagram something because they're afraid that they'll lose followers who disagree with them. And so I think that's something that I've never thought like that. I've never thought, oh gosh, yesterday I posted something about marriage equality, and I had all of these fans, commenting how just negative, awful stuff. And I commented back, I was like, if you just disagree with me, if you're gonna come here and spread negativity, just unfollow me. And I think that's a lot of what a lot of kids are scared to say, just unfollow me if you disagree with me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we are going to continue on Twitter. Oh, we do have questions. Hi.
Hi.
I'm a college student. One of the members or founders of FIU's chapter. So
Awesome.
Not to go to Columbia, you should come to FIU. Or I'll meet you in Columbia for my law degree. But you mentioned Emma's story, the young lady who's carrying around the mattress.
Yes.
And that's very important. At FIU, we did it entirely about sexual awareness. And I know you're 13, but some statistics show the sexual abuse is prevalent for our age group. And I really wanted to know, have you, I'm not saying firsthand experienced it, but had conversations with your parents or your peers about avoiding this situation, or
you're in a setting almost all the time where you are looked at in a particular way.
Yes.
And how do you deal with that? And I also mentor, and unfortunately, I'm in the schools in Miami-Dade County where these girls have been abused. So what would you, as a friend, so when one of your friends came to you, what would be the number one thing that you do for them?
I'm gonna answer the first part of your question first about like, have I ever experienced something like that? I go out with friends, you know, who are around my age, and we'll go out and we'll go get frozen yogurt or something, and the amount of times that we've been catcalled, or like somebody will go and, you know, what's that? I'm forgetting the word now. Honk. Or, you know, people will call names, and it's so sad to me. And the girl that I always go out with, she is so used to that by now. And that's so sad to me that it's something that happens to her so much, because women are literally thought of, you know, just objects. There was a guy who came up to her and was like, listen, part of my pledge of school, to get into school, is to kiss a stranger. And this girl was like, no, but it's just so sad to me that she's so used to something like that. And that she's so used to being objectified, and she's so used to being a thing on a list. You know what I'm saying? It's just very sad to me. And so I've had firsthand experienced it, not as severely as, you know, the girl from Colombia, but yeah. But the second part of your question, if I ever met somebody who said something like that, or who came to me about it, I think I'd say, you know, you have to really protect yourself. And I think so many girls are afraid to, you know, speak up, because they're thought of as, you know, I just see so many girls who are raped, and they're thought of, you know, the one who, oh, well, it must have been what she was wearing, or, oh, her skirt was too short. And that's the first question that we ask. What were you wearing? That's so sad.
Yeah.
That's so sad that a victim of rape, the first question that they're asked is, what were you wearing? So I think we have to, and that goes back to the classroom argument. We have to change the way that girls are viewed before we change the way that what they dress. Yeah.
So if you're not used to doing Twitter, this would be a good time to educate yourself on using social media, because we'll continue the conversation there, but we have to make room.
Thank
Thank
you
you
so much. I just wanted to say the third option is now closed. Winners will be announced soon. Before I turn the remainder of the conference over to Lucy Hamilton, the National Committee Treasurer and co-chair of this committee, I wanted to thank you all for allowing me to be here today. Thank you to all of the speakers for your heart and your fight. I'm heading off. I'm fortunate enough to help my girlfriend celebrate her life choices. She's marrying the man of her dreams freely and with an open heart. You know, because she's able to experience love, she puts it back out into the world, and everybody benefits. Life's an energy flow, and we can't block that energy. As grassroots activist and author Jane Roberts so eloquently wrote, when the world takes care of women, women take care of the world. And I'd like to add to that by saying we take care of the world in the sense that we're the nurturers, we're the peacekeepers, and we're the heartbeat of the entire operation. So let's continue the fight, locally and globally, to strengthen and protect that heart. Choices are voices, and voices are power. Thank you.
Wasn't she amazing? And she had more than that, right? So this is one of the best things that we got into the USNC. Megan is a co-founder of the Los Angeles chapter, and I met her as well as Kathy Hillman 2 years ago. So she's going to be going in the sunset, and we're going to continue. We have a couple more panels for you. The next panel, we have wonderful people who will be talking to you about very serious issues. But also, we will end up in a high note. I know we have had We have had series of heavy topics, and having this wonderful young lady here today, as I told her, she said, I'm so nervous. I said, well, hey, remember our mission, we empower women and girls. So we need your voice. Without your voice, we don't know what the heck you're doing for your generation. So that's why we're here. So we're going to bring Tess Cacciatore. Tess is the founder of WEN Network. And Tess has a phenomenal, unique story, besides being a fantastic human being. Has a story of her own, and she's the founder of this, as I said, WEN Network. And she also is the producer of a new movie called Road to Redemption. And not only Tess is here to talk about that, we have Jeda Mara, who is the director of that film, and Viva Bianca, who is the main actor of that film. And they will be here to talk about why are they involved with WEN Network. And I'm not going to talk about Road to Redemption because that's what Tess is going to do. So please welcome Tess Cacciatore.
Good afternoon. I know you guys have been here all day, and we're coming to the end of the day. So I just wanted to, first off, thank Lucy Hamilton, who has put this all together. I want to give a round of applause for her. As Lucy said, I have some very special guests and esteemed colleagues with me. Jeda Mara is a world-renowned Nigerian director. And we met a couple of years ago, and he told me about this film called Road to Redemption. He has such a passion and commitment about women's issues, and I think it's really important to celebrate the men that are in the audience with us and celebrate the men in our lives.
Yes.
Then I had the pleasure of meeting Viva Bianca on a plane going over to Ghana. We went to film, part of the film there, and it was definitely an extraordinary experience. I love Ghana, I've been there many times. And we had an extraordinary experience. So you all get to have a sneak peek to some of the scenes from the movie that no one has seen yet. We're still in post-production, which means we're editing, getting the score together, getting the sound sweetened together. And our vision is to be able to screen this, perhaps at the UN. And I'll tell you a little bit about that as we go on. I have a PowerPoint presentation with some slides, but I want to set up the scene of this first scene that you'll see in the movie. It's the story of a young American doctor. Her name is Sam. She is in wit's end, as we all have been in our lives. And we go to that transformational place where we need to go explore ourselves. So she gets on a plane and finds herself in this village in Nigeria. And she comes across serious issues like fistula and outcast young girls and the cursed ones and young girl marriage, which I'll be able to talk about in the presentation today. I know I'm speaking to the crowd. I know you know all these statistics, but I'm filming this today because I want to be able to edit it and put it out there so we can continue to educate people around the world. So I want to let you know that I know that you all know these statistics, but I do want to just express them, just to put them all together in a profile. So anyway, Sam confronts the young chief in the village. He's not only executive producer along with Jeda, but he's a very famous hip-hop star called Akon. I'm sure you all have heard of him. And he's acted a lot before, but I have to say, this performance is extraordinary. There's an amazing depth that he brought to the character as well as Viva Bianca in the role of Sam. So I want to have Lucy double-click that screen and you'll see the first scene that we're going to be sharing with you. And then you have to go up to, yeah. And this is when she confronts the chief of the village. And you go right on this.
CC.
You wanted to see me? Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. No, I'm not sorry about what I said. Well, I guess I am a little bit. I should shut up. But I don't mean to make it like it's about me, because it isn't. Well, I guess it is a little bit. That's not why I wanted to stay. Why I need to stay is...
Our culture has been around for hundreds of years. You can...
This is the beauty of technology. There we go.
Does anyone know how to get this? Turn your little icon on your full screen. It's like the top right.
It's at the bottom. It's at the bottom right. Bottom right. Bottom right. Yeah, you're in the right place, right.
But then, wait, but then double click it.
There.
So,
It's Indian wedding. It's Bengali wedding.
we have the videos on a separate file, so we can show them all together. So if you could go back to the presentation, and just pull up that slide. I'll talk for a couple of minutes, and then Lucy, if you want to find the, I think the jump drive should still be there. There should be a, they're in the file. Yes, that's it, yes. So while they're putting that together, it's the beauty of technology, isn't it? You know, I got here and they weren't working, so I had to reinstall the slides and the footage, but I'm excited for you all to see at least a couple of video clips that will be working. So while she's doing that, I want to talk a little bit about, in that scene, and I hope you get to see it, it's the story of Sam and how she confronts the young chief in the village. And what was an important message for me and how it became resonating with me is because she's a woman of the Western world. And how can we as Western people, Western women, go into places like Africa or India or any place around the world and make an impact and make a change? How can we go in and try to change thousands of years of culture? So that's been my own internal struggle, because I come from a long line of entertainment and philanthropy and cause. That's why Gwen is born, and I can tell you a little bit about Gwen as well. But what was important to me, and Jed and I had a conversation on the way down here today about the Western world coming in to try to infiltrate, so to speak, into these places. How can we make a difference? For me, it became a way of having media speak for my voice, because I want to have and be the voice for those who don't have it. I look at these young girls that came up here and did this presentation. At 13, I could barely even speak, let alone walk at the same time. I was extremely, extremely shy. And I know you've heard that over and over again. I'm sure a lot of women in the audience can relate to that. But these young girls represent the future, and it's so important to get to the place where we can allow for these voices to be heard, our voices to be heard, to encourage other stories to be told. So Global Women's Empowerment Network, otherwise known as GWEN, and I always say we can't do GWEN without the men. It's really important for me to say that it's through the conversation and dialogue and healing with the men of the world to bring the feminine to the same level and to be able to heal. So through GWEN, we found ways through our technology and our programming. We have content, commerce, we have content and celebrity, to be able to bring us all together and have a voice to be told. So we have GWEN Films, which is co-partnered with Jed Armada Concepts and his film company, which hopefully we'll be able to, oh, it looks like something's up there. Okay, I'm gonna take a pause and then you can watch the clip.
wanted to see me? Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. No, I'm not sorry about what I said. Well, I guess I am a little bit. I should shut up. But I don't mean to make it like it's about me, because it isn't. Well, I guess it is a little bit. That's not why I wanted to stay. Why I need to stay is...
Our culture has been around for hundreds of years. You cannot expect it to change overnight.
I believe in you, Sam. I know it seems like it's an uphill battle sometimes. Most of the time. But when I think back on your journey all those years, I see a real gutsy girl.
And I'm back here again. Why?
Well, you know what I've always said. Chop wood, carry water. Change just takes time.
Change just takes time.
How do I change my people from doing what their fathers and their fathers and their fathers before them?
It's killing them.
I can rally all the elders, get their support.
18.
Never. 16?
But...
How old were you?
Excuse me? You can't ask me that. That's none of your business. Well, in America, girls are still girls until they're 18. So, stop it.
Samantha.
I'm not gonna.
Sam.
14. Happy now? You know, I was different. I didn't act in the girls should.
How should girls act?
If I could go back and do it again, I would have waited till I was 16. But with a guy who was also 16.
That doesn't make it right.
What do you mean right?
In my culture, women don't engage in sex until after they're married.
Yes, but you're marrying them off at as young as 9. That's not right, because they're children.
But you had sex at 14. Between you and I, you win.
Yeah, but with a guy who was 15. He wasn't married off to some 40-year-old dude who was having unprotected sex with me so I could have his children. That's sick.
Double standards. Look at the sexualization of young women in America.
But we're not talking about young women here.
Tell me.
We're talking about 13, 14-year-old girls.
Okay.
They're not women, they're children. They're too young to be involved in any way, physically or mentally, with a man.
So it is okay for a 14-year-old girl to have sex with someone her own age, but it's a problem for her to have sex with someone older? What's the difference?
Look, we can't stop young people exploring their sexuality. Young people are gonna have sex whether we like it or not. That's not the problem here. The way I see it, there are 2 issues. First, the reason fistula is not an epidemic in the West is because of education and medicine.
So good education, good medicine gives our 14-year-olds permission to engage in acts of copulation.
The issue is not about teenagers having sex. Second, that it is fundamentally wrong for these young girls to be forced off to old men. They're too young to consent.
That's the problem with Americans. Always trying to impose their views on everyone else. You know what's interesting? In the United States, at 18, you can't even drink alcohol, but you can get married. You can enlist in the military, give your life for your country. But you can't drink alcohol. You can smoke. You can drive. You can be a man.
If you're 18, you can't even drink at your own wedding.
Exactly. Look, Samantha, Sam, we are both on the same side. We may not agree with each other's views or semantics that come with the laws, but we both want to do what's right. We both want what's right. And by the way, I was just playing devil's advocate. And
that would be great. So as you can see, controversial topics that we all get to talk about, but we get to do it in a way that's entertaining and through humor and through feature films, rather than always doing the documentary, which documentaries are extremely important. I've been part of many. But through the mainstream media, mainstream music, mainstream feature films, this is what's really important to me, and obviously to Jetta and Viva and other people in the film, because we want to make a difference and an impact and being able to change international laws. One of my favorite things, is about seeing how one person can make a difference. Dr. Lowenthal said, "My story is not unique, nor is mine." I feel like I just want to share my story to be able to hopefully give young girls, women, men, whomever, a chance to be able to have their voice heard and their stories told. So if you go to slide 3, as I was referring, there's statistics you ladies already know. 603 million women live where violence isn't a crime. That's not even including the countries that it is a crime. I hear these statistics, and how can we think of 603 million people, most of them women, obviously? What can we do to stop the statistics? 1 in 3 women globally are involved in domestic violence. I'm a survivor of domestic violence. So that means of all the women in here, if we count 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, one of those women have been involved in some sort of abuse. That's one of the reasons why I co-founded Gwen. The other statistic that's really important to me is 1 in 4 college co-eds are sexually assaulted each year. We created the Gwen Alert. I'm not sure if you see the brochure on your table, but I really would love for you to download it. It's free. It's on your smartphones. You get to load up 5 of your trusted Gwen 5. And if you're ever in an emergency, you click the button and their Gwen 5 is notified with a GPS location saying that you're in trouble and they need your help. So we're in the process of doing version 2 this summer. We're going to be unveiling it at an event in July 30th in Hollywood. So if anybody wants to come to that event, it's a limited number of people that we can put in there, but we'd love to have you there. We're going to be having very beautiful elements and additions to the Gwen Alert that will be able to allow for women to film if they're getting assaulted and it going up to the clouds. So even if your phone is taken away and damaged, you still have the ability to retrace those steps to find out who is the assaultant in a situation. So if we want to go to the next slide, I guess I have this. Yes, I have the clicker. You're in charge, but I can keep going. She's doing the video clips, I'm doing the clicking. So one of the other things that I think is a really important topic, which I know has been addressed today, is sex trafficking. So second largest global revenue stream, $32 billion. $32 billion. Girls as young as 5 years old are sold into slavery. Age 14 is the average age of girls who are sold into sex slavery. 27 million people are enslaved today. Approximately 15,000 people are sex trafficked into the United States each year. And one statistic that I talk about a lot in the media that a lot of people in the United States don't know is 300,000 young children from the United States are abducted and taken away to sex slavery. So we thought that slavery ended in 1865, but it still remains today. So through us all working together, the UN Women, all of you individually have your own lives, your organizations, your stories. If we can unify and really make a difference, that to me is really important. I want everyone to see this picture. I saw this picture and it stopped me in my tracks. It's the story about young girls that are forced into marriage, which is one of the topics in Road to Redemption, which is a very important issue to Viva, Jetta, and I. 20 countries still allow for this to occur. what I want to do is become we're a 501c3, but I want to become a 501c4 so we can all work together and go into legislation, United Nations, and be able to help change international law. I'm going to name a few of the countries that still allow for young child marriage. There's Chad, Central African Republic, Mozambique, Burkina Faso, South Sudan, India, Somalia, Sierra Leone, Dominican Republic, Ethiopia, Nepal, Nicaragua, and Nigeria. And that's just listing a few. The reason why I ended with Nigeria is because Road to Redemption is going to make a difference. And really exciting situation right now in Nigeria, as you all know, is that the free election for the first time in Nigeria happened a few weeks ago. And very quickly into the administration, the president created a place where female genital mutilation is now illegal in Nigeria. And one of my new sheroes is actually the sheroes. We have a shira. Shira. Yes, sheroes is the First Lady Aisha Buhari, who is obviously the First Lady of Nigeria. She is going to take a stand with regard to creating a place where it's going to be illegal for young children and young women to be married. She's going to make a law where you have to be 18 to get married. So I believe with women like that, the president in Nigeria, with filmmakers like Jetta, they're going to make a difference. They can show that we can make progress and make a change. So I think it's really important that this is happening right now as we sit here. And soon we'll be able to use this film as a speaking place. We want to screen it at the United Nations. We're hoping that we'll be able to invite the First Lady over to the United States to be able to share in our voice and help support her and lift her platform up so other countries that are allowing for this to happen can make a change. The next scene I want to show you is about child marriage and pregnancy. So I'm going to move this over to that slide and hopefully it'll click faster and better. It's good too. I will, so if not, then there will be another film clip that I can explain as well.
Hey. Hey. Hey, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay, you can trust me. I'm not gonna hurt you. Do you want to give me your hand? It's okay. Here you go. I can help you up. Here. My name is Sam. I'm from DC. They call me Dr. Sam. Hey, I'm not gonna hurt you. Jemima. Hey, Jemima. Now, why don't you tell me what happened? I was hungry. I saw some scraps on the table. It caught me. You're hungry. I think we can solve that. I am cursed. My baby died. And my insides, they are not right. Jemima, look at me. I'm going to the clinic. Will you come with me? I think I can help you. What is DC? Washington, DC. It's a city in America. It's actually the District of Columbia. Now let's see about that food. And there it was again, the curse. None of it made any sense. And it was clear that I'd only just scratched the surface.
So Lucy, if you can get the next clip ready, I'm just going to set the stage about that scene in the film and the importance of it. Fistula affects an estimate of 2 million women and girls in developing countries. 1 in every 50 women of reproductive age has fistula. 1 of 7.3 million girls below age 18 who give birth each year in developing countries, 2 million of them are under the age of 15. Each year, between 50 and 100,000 women worldwide are affected by obstetric fistula. The development of obstetric fistula is directly linked to one of the most major causes of maternal mortality. $300 can give these women surgeries and these young girls surgeries. So one of the campaigns that we're going to do with the film is part of the proceeds are going to go to be able to go back to Nigeria, Ghana, and other countries to be able to provide surgeries. We've partnered already with some doctors in Ghana. We're going to also partner with doctors in Nigeria. It's like if you think about a cup of coffee at Starbucks and you let go of that 1 cup 1 week and then you add it up for 1 year, you too can help us give a surgery. So that's one of the things that I want to encourage the continued dialogue. I just don't want to be up here talking today and then disappear. I want to be able to connect with you all, to be able to connect Jetta and Viva and all of us into the emotional side of it all, but also the practical side, the action side, the activity side. How can we make a difference? So the next scene is a really very intense scene as well, and it's really about childbirth in Nigeria. I think it's 1. 1? Yes.
She's been like this for 5 days. I have tried everything. 5 days? What's your name? Baby. She's a kid. 13. Pregnant at 13. Women here marry very young. Stethoscope.
Where's your family?
Her case is very peculiar. Her husband is the one who came with us.
Card? That's not.
Yeah, well, she's one of his wives.
Are you her mother?
No, child.
She needs a cesarean.
The men will never allow it. Women here are meant to deliver children, not have them cut out. Besides, we're talking about surgery here. Look around you. This is catapult, not New York.
Get me my bag now.
This will cause a riot. If anything happens to her, you are accused of killing her.
She's already dying.
I need to get the baby out now.
So, no. Baby, you hear me? I'm gonna listen. Hold my hand. Squeeze. Okay. I need you to breathe. I need you to push. You can do this. could rupture the uterus. It is the will of God. God, what is done is done. Samantha, don't! Don't what? They have the curse. Right. And I kill people. You can't be seen with them. You can't go near them. Our people say, adultery brings a curse to all.
What country is this happening in?
All over the world in the areas. This particular film is about Nigerian crisis, and it's shatter the silence. You know, we have to work together. That scene always gets me, so I apologize. But millions of young girls and women are dying on a daily basis over childbirth. We are so smart in this world, and Africa is so wealthy with intelligence and natural resources. I get frustrated sometimes because I feel like I'm little me and I'm not enough and I have to get out there and do something, but it's really like partnering with someone like Ted and Viva to do this movie. So, since I have control of the clicker,
You get frustrated sometimes.
I get frustrated all the time.
Exactly.
Just a few slides that I'll zip through because I really want to bring Jen and Viva up here so you can all interact with them and ask questions of the film, the process. What we're doing with the Gwen Alert I mentioned before. We have a program that's coming out called Gwen at Home where people from all over the world can download certain programs and products and services to be able to educate and activate people's voices to be heard. We have Finding Gwen, a PSA that we just shot last week that I hope you all will help us go viral because it's really about all of us women particularly that can look at ourselves in the mirror and say, I am beautiful, I am strong, I am courageous. Because when we get to those words, I feel that there's empowerment within that won't allow us from being abused anymore. I'm praying for that. We have a talk show, Gwen Talks, that's getting ready to launch as well. I have my own personal story coming out in a book coming out early next year that will tie into the release of the film and the screening of the film. And what can we do as a difference? What can we do as a global community, a global family? And at this point, I'd like to bring up Jetta, Amada, and Bianca to the stage and allow for you all to interact with us and ask questions. And I just want to have you step down to that side of the table so we're not blocked by the podium. And if you can get the trailer ready, we can maybe show the trailer and then we'll be all in place for people to ask questions.
Hello again, and I trace my fingers along the many countries and oceans that find us all.
Senator's daughter saves lives in Africa.
My name is Dabu. We're happy to have you here.
Nigeria. It's time to meet you.
Our community has been struck by a great affliction. Our women cannot provide us men folk with children.
They have a cause.
13.
Pregnant at 13.
Women here married very young.
I am cursed.
Jemima was caught in bed with another man.
This poor girl is not cursed. She's sick. For just $300, she can be healthy. This is a place for sick people, not for sinners. The girls in the tent. This is festival.
These girls are too young to have children. Please take me with you. These children are your wives. If your children cannot speak, speak for them.
You came here to fulfill your dreams and fantasies. You're not one of us.
I just saw a man get murdered.
I can't deal with this. She is a bad woman. She brings only death.
I had no idea what I was fighting.
Our culture has been around for hundreds of years. Anything says what she says. You cannot expect it to change overnight.
Your father's United States Senator Smith. My being here is ruining my father's chances of re-election. You've come to fix things, or should I say me?
And who are you to question the elders?
We should ask ourselves what's worse, running away or staying and doing nothing.
I need to get back to Lagos.
These people need you. You have brought nothing but shame and trouble to this community.
Obviously don't know what I'm doing.
She came to offer her medical expertise, not question the traditions of God.
She's here as a volunteer. Doctor knows best.
If you do not change, we stop laying in the bed of our husbands.
Must we be so stubborn about this?
To my first right is beautiful Viva Bianca, and as you can tell in the clips, she is the lead actress alongside Akon for the role, Sam. And then we have Jada Amata, the beautiful Nigerian director. I want to give a round of applause to because I want your voices to be heard. I want to start with Jada really quickly because it was you and I sitting across from each other 2 years ago. You and Viva obviously were already on the path of writing the script and working together. What was your initial vision and passion to get this film done?
I'll try to answer the questions right, but I'm a director because I hate being in front of Okay, so I guess it's putting my money where my mouth is. I've been very disappointed in the West, and in the West I mean the Western world. There's been so much talk about helping where there are problems, but there hasn't really been support. Like, I couldn't take a script like this to anywhere in Hollywood and get it funded. It wouldn't just happen. But if I have to make a difference, I have to look for a way of doing it myself and looking for the right partners to support me. And I just wanted to make my own difference because talk doesn't solve any problems. We can talk and talk and talk, but if we don't put actions to it, there wouldn't be a change. You would never know what it's like to see real girls with fistula. Yeah, well, most of you are professionals in this, so you must have seen some. You would never know what it's like to see little babies being wrapped up in rags and washed and then buried. You would never understand what it's like for women to die when they should be able to leave unless you're right there. And if we keep talking about it and not put our monies where our mouths are, it wouldn't change over time.
So Viva, you auditioned amongst many, many Hollywood starlets for the role of Sam. What was it that drew you to it? I know we've had our personal conversations about the documentary side and raising money and all that, but I want you to tell the members here your passion and commitment to the film.
Okay.
Well, to give you a little backstory, actually, I was told by my agent, I was asked by my agent if I wanted to audition for this film the night before the audition, which is often the case if you're not an actor. It's a little insight. And I had to go to a premiere that night, so I'd stayed up till about 3 a.m. just learning the lines and felt pretty unprepared. And when I did the audition, it wasn't even that great. It was just, I think, something that Jeddah saw in me, my commitment to wanting to be part of this project. And we ended up having lunch, and kind of the rest was history. And I came on to kind of help develop the script and also play the role of Sam. But what it was that kind of made me fight so hard to be a part of this project was obviously the incredibly important global women's issues. But on a personal level too, what you maybe haven't seen in some of the clips we showed today was that there's this culture that Sam, my character, is up against throughout the film, which is a culture of staunch misogyny and sexism. And whilst the film is set in Africa, this was a culture that I felt really resonated with my upbringing in Australia as a woman, and that is also very present in America. So even though it's a film set in another country and happens to be Nigeria, it's a culture, a misogynistic culture that we women here in America are also very familiar with. So it felt close to my heart. Perfect. Well, I just want to do a nice little information about Jeddah. He's all about women's empowerment. He actually made Viva and I the producers of the film. So he's involved us in very many ways in having us to have a voice and to share his vision. So I'm going to open it up to the audience and see what kind of questions you have for any of us, the film process. Yes.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your intention and Jeddah's as a director. But something, what was the rationale not using the woman NGO? Because I've been globally I know there are women NGOs in Nigeria working on these issues. So what was the rationale behind having capable actresses like her from United States playing that role and not having a voice from Nigeria addressing these issues in Nigeria?
Good, so I'm Nigerian, so I'll answer that question. So now this is the second film. I'm not shy anymore, so it's very close to my heart. This is the second film I'm making on VVF, on the fistula problem. The first one I did it in 2000, and it's because I met a woman. I was in a bus. I was going for my university fraternity, you know, kind of like coming together. We had graduated, but we came together every year. And this woman comes into the bus, and she got chased out of the bus because she was smelling. And then this was 2000, this is like 15 years ago, and I was like, hey, what's the problem with her? And then they told me. So I come out of the bus and I speak with her. My mother had me when she was 15. So, and my mother had issues. She had 9 other kids after me, 3 sets of twins, and 3 boys. She lost them all the time. She lost them either 2 days or a day after. A couple of them stillborn. So I've always been passionate about women who get pushed around. And then she had a bag that her urine was going into. That was the first time I knew something like that existed with all my education and all my travel. So now I call a friend of mine who graduated with me, but okay, I graduated first, but when we started school together, he was a medical student. He was still there, and I was like, I just seen this. And he gave me the backstory, and I was shocked. And I came back and wrote a script about it. I've always been a known Nigerian filmmaker. And I put it out there. I went to every NGO. I said, I have spent my money to do this. So just let's take it out to the northern part of Nigeria, where this is very privileged. Just give it voice. And none of them wanted to. They said they had their already formed programs. And I put it aside. But I knew someday when I had more money, when I could spend close to $500,000 or something to do something strong and be able to sit with more people like this, it would happen. And even after working on this film, I went back to the NGOs who normally do this to say,